Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we are ready to go here. We've got a new set of astronauts here. We've got Dilthel, who is Mad Bro in disguise. We've got Lemford the pilot, who is brand new. We've got Milbro, who I assume is Mad Bro's brother. And we've got Treeberry here. So we are completely good to go here. I've already checked the staging. Let's do this. Killrot on, and off we go. Beautiful. Our thrust to weight is going to be very, very low in space, that's for sure. But we're out of here. So let's go here, and how long do we have on this SRB burn? 50 seconds? Okay. Sounds good. Our surface velocity is increasing here. We're at about 120 right now. We'll start our gravity turn about now. I'm starting it a little bit late at 150. Just because I want to punch up through the atmosphere a little further than we got before, but I want to be relatively aggressive on this gravity turn here, although maybe not this aggressive. Okay, let's bring that back a little bit. Cool. We'll park here and just gently make our way over towards the orbital prograde marker. I want the orbital prograde marker to be at about 45 degrees before we reach there, so I'm working on pulling it back up a little bit. Yeah, we're just going to hang out here for the moment. That orbital prograde marker is not moving at all. Okay, cool. Well, I'm keeping an eye on our apoapsis up here as well, and that's looking reasonably fine for the moment. I do want to punch up through the atmosphere a little bit more quickly than we did previously, so that's why we're hanging out here instead of a little further over, like where the prograde marker is. That said, SRB detachment is in allegedly like 10 fake SRB seconds, so we should make our way over towards the prograde marker right now. So we're just heading on over there. Once we reach the prograde marker, we are going to lock to prograde. We're definitely seeing some heating effects, but that's relatively normal. Okay, locking to prograde. And that looks reasonably fine. SRB's detachment is now. So there goes the SRBs. Beautiful. And we're going to have our main booster detachment relatively soon, but this thing is so stable. It's incredibly stable, given what it is. It's an absolute monstrosity, yes, but it's also incredibly stable. At this moment, we're moving to horizontal velocity up because I see that our apoapsis height is already way, way up there. So we're just going to punch our way up and target, I don't know, maybe 200 kilometers. I don't know. These SRBs are going to detach fairly soon. I think we just get a clean SRB detach. And then shut down. Cool. And then we will look to circularize up over here, of course. I would have liked to get a little bit more horizontal speed on the way up there, but without a fairing, I just didn't want to risk it. We've got a fair amount of exposed components, and it could have been bad. So we're going to head on over to the node, and we will extend our Gigantors here. Cool. I love this detachment. Very nice Korolev cross going on here, except that there are 6 of them instead of 4. Cool. So this is going to be about a 4-minute burn here, and it is going to burn out everything that we've got here, but that should be reasonably fine. We've got plenty of Delta V here. Cool. So we're going to warp forward a little bit here. 1 minute and about another 20 seconds here. 10 seconds. Okay, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. And we'll get most of the way to orbit on this. In fact, we'll probably get all the way into an orbit. It just won't be a circularized orbit, is my guess. Maybe we'll have to do a little bit on this in order to get into orbit, but we'll see. And then I think we'll try to do... Well, we'll want to propel ourselves out, I think, away from the sun on the dark side in order to push towards Duna there. I'm pretty sure that's the directionality we want to go. And we'll see where Duna is. It's going to be exciting. probably in completely and totally the wrong position, if I had to guess. We'll see. So we're not physics warping this burn. We should be physics warping this burn, and now we are. Absolutely no compression on the physics warp. I love it. So we're going to burn out the last little bit of tank here. And then we'll see what our periapsis is like. We are already raising that up. That's looking relatively good. But looks like we don't quite get into orbit there. Let's just park at orbital prograde. And let's get rid of this. And we're just going to burn here at prograde, even though the apoapsis is probably going to be a little wacky, until we're at, like, I don't know, 100 kilometers. It doesn't have to be a perfectly circular orbit. So something like that. We'll shut down there, and that looks solid. So from here, we probably want to burn on the dark side, I think. And push this guy right on out like so. We're not going to attempt a lunar gravity assist here, not with this amount of thrust to weight. It's not a lot of thrust to weight. So this should be pushing us out towards Duna. Yes. Hello, that was an encounter right there. Hang on. That's an encounter. Can we fine-tune that in a bit? Because I would like the encounter to happen at the apoapsis there. Okay, that's kind of the opposite direction of what we needed, I think. So it would need to be out over here. And we're currently massively overshooting it. So we would need to move it in, I think slightly later would be when we'd need to do the burn. What does that look like? A little bit further away. Okay. There's only so much fiddling we can do with this. I think I'm going to move this back over here and we'll just call this good. So let's get ourselves an encounter here. I want to set Duna as our target. We're basically at... Hang on, that's really, really close. We're basically at the correct inclination there, but I think it's an inclination change that we need to do in order to dial this in. Maybe not. Maybe just a slight amount of radial. Not that direction. Okay. We need to push out just a little bit more then. This is really, really close. There. That's basically ideal. What does this encounter look like? I mean, it's a little on the high end. But otherwise, it seems fine. We want to be in a relatively maximal orbit here. I want to alter this encounter, please. Can we get in here? Okay. So there we go. Now we can change the inclination on it a little bit. Bring this guy right on down like so. I want to change our camera to be basically like this. And then bring it in line to be largely equatorial. We're not probably going to get it perfect here, but that's fine. So something like this, and then I'd like it to be a relatively minimal encounter, but we can change that with our braking burn. So what would the braking burn end up looking like here? We don't need it to be anywhere near that much. I want it to be a minimal braking burn. So it would end up being something kind of like this, right? 800 meters per second. That's pretty cool. I like it. Let's get lined up for this burn. This looks ideal. Okay, let's do it. So we're going to head on over to the burn. And it's going to be a 15-minute long burn. Our thrust to weight is really, really low. No doubt about that. So let's get positioned for it. And we can position a little better. There we go. We're going to warp on around. And we're going to commence this burn in about 10 minutes here. Yeah, we're missing out on some of this science. We can probably grab some of it, but we'll see what happens during the actual burn. The burn is going to be lengthy, and I'm going to have to probably pause the recording for this one because yikes. But we're just going to warp forward a little further here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and ignition. Cool. This is going to be a very lengthy burn, but we should be very stable to physics warp the burn. We're probably going to have to correct it on the way in, but this is going to be a long one. We've got 15 minutes on this burn. So I'm going to pause the recording here, and we are going to be right back a little bit closer to the end of the burn. I'll also transmit any science that we get here just like that. Cool. We could process that in the lab. I'm going to avoid that for now, so that should be fine. See you guys in a moment. Okay, so here we are very close to the end of the burn here. We've just been locked to the node this whole time, and we are going to probably have some issues with the actual final portion of this burn. We'll see how MechJeb handles it with the smart ASS, but I'm expecting the node to run away from us a little bit as we get close to the end here. So that's why I brought us out of the pause a little bit faster than I normally would have. We've still got about a minute of burn time left here, but I am expecting to have some problems here. And we'll see what our final orbit ends up looking like. It'll likely need corrections with the amount of burn time that this thing has. So we'll get that done. This is actually better than I've expected so far. About 40 meters per second to go here. I'm going to take us out of physics warp at this time, and we'll see what this ends up looking like. This maneuver is going to need to be redone, for sure. Everything just vanished? Oh, this maneuver reset itself. Okay, we should just head over to prograde right now. We don't quite have that encounter. I want to set this as our target, and we need to head over towards prograde. Actually, we probably just want to go towards target, right? That's probably the actual direction that we want here. So let's commence some burning at target here. And yep, this is what we want. Beautiful. And that slightly overshoots. Okay, so it's going to be a little weird, but we're going to flop around to anti-target here and just bring that right back. That separation is interesting, for sure. So we're going to bring this on in, and we'll take a look at what this orbit ends up looking like once we get around to anti-target. This is very, very slow to turn. I'm very glad we tossed in that extra reaction wheel. No doubt about that. At anti-target, I'm just going to very gently burn a bit here. Okay. This is definitely low. I think we're going to want anti-normal. So let's head over towards anti-normal here. We've got an encounter, but I want to tune that encounter in a little bit. So let's just get in plane here. And let's keep an eye on this encounter here. Yeah, it's coming upward, but it's also going in quite a bit. Okay, let's bring that right on up until we're basically directly in plane. Close enough. And from here, we can simply do a maneuver to do... Let's see, we're going this direction. This is retrograde from the direction I want to be going. Okay, it's most efficient to change it now. This is definitely retrograde from where we are going. So we're going to grab, like, I don't know, here and add a maneuver. And we're going to just bring that right on around town. And we might as well bring it, like, out over this way, right? And get a relatively minimal encounter. What is that going to cost for a braking burn? Bring that back out and overshot it again. So that's going to be a fairly hefty braking burn. We are going to be coming in pretty fast like this, which is relatively expected. 945, that's not bad. Okay, and that brings us around so that we're going to be going this direction, which is the same direction as Ike. So that is much better. 3.1 meters per second is definitely the most efficient way to do that. So let's get positioned for this burn. This is going to be in about 4 days. We're just going to do a minor corrective burn here. Otherwise, that looks absolutely fine. It's going to be a 2-second burn. And you can definitely see 3.2 meters per second is going to be 2 seconds. You can see how low our thrust to weight here is. Okay, so we're warping forward to that burn. Apparently it forgot about our node. Oh, no, we're back. Okay, that's exciting. Now, as a follow-up question, do we still have our encounter? Actually, we don't. It appears that the encounter was a lie. So let's set Duna as our target here. We'll have to dial this back in. Okay. That can happen sometimes when you change sphere of influence like that. So I'd like to have this be back at like the apoapsis, right? So this would be ideal to have it back here. Actually, this is pretty close. This is pretty close to what I want it to be. 100 meters per second to get that changed, but we bring that in to be roughly equatorial like that. Let's double check what this is going to be for a braking burn. This will be fine for the comsat, in theory. We'll probably make a few tweaks to the actual comsat positioning. But this is not bad. 877. That's actually slightly less, but we're making up for it with this burn, right? So let's just get positioned at the node. And I think that the reason that that disappeared was due to the sphere of influence change, but we were very, very close, so that's okay. We're going to start this burn in about 6 days. We could probably do it now, but this is fine. We're just going to warp on towards that. No problem whatsoever. Just a real quick alteration here. And yeah, we'll make some small alterations to our comsat as well, once that gets actually deployed. And hopefully it doesn't, you know, kraken on deployment. That would be awkward. Okay, so the burn is going to be in about a minute here. 20 seconds, 10 seconds, and 3, 2, 1, 0. Now, this is a 1 minute, 22 second burn to go 100 meters per second. Very slow thrust to weight here. I'm wondering if we just accept this. We probably just accept this. Okay, so that'll be fine. We'll add a maneuver here. We just want to enter an orbit. So we would push that out to be about here. Cool. We'll align to that node. That's going to be a 10-minute burn. That's a spicy one. But I mean, we've got the Delta V to do that just in our drop tanks, so that's not a problem. Not a problem at all. That burn's going to be in 340 days and a fairly lengthy burn. So we'll just line up here. We'll start the warp. And then we will be back close to the end of this burn. So that should be absolutely fine. No problem whatsoever. See you guys in just a bit. Okay, so here we are about to enter orbit over Duna. Fantastic. We've got about 40 seconds left in this burn. I'm going to take us out of physics warp. I also deployed these solar panels, not like that really matters, but I did. And we've got about 40 meters per second here. We're just watching to see when we enter a minimal orbit. We don't really care about our periapsis right now. That is not a huge deal, but we're certainly going to be entering orbit around Duna here shortly. We have all of this data that we can grab, and we certainly will do so. A lot of this can and probably should be processed in our lab. Okay, that's a minimal orbit right there. Beautiful. So that's looking good. Now we've got 837 meters per second left in all of this. It's a little bit awkward. Reason being, I had planned that this would all be gone by the time we did this deployment. This deployment might be a little bit squishy here. That said, we might be able to just maneuver it out with the reaction wheel and then send it out this direction. That's a potential possibility. For now, though, we definitely need to grab all of our data, so we are going to process this in the lab. We should definitely start research in the lab immediately. We're going to need to work through a lot of this data. So we can grab... We don't need to grab another crew report, I don't think. That's already processed in the lab, but I guess we can. We can keep that for now. We can have somebody EVA report, and I'm going to have Triberry EVA report. There we go. And that data should be processed here as well. Yes, we'll process that, and then we can grab another EVA report and hop back in. And then we can grab our temperature scan, process that in the lab. Atmospheric pressure scan, process that in the lab. Mystery goo observation, which we'll need to reset. We can process that in the lab. The gravity scan, 125 data. Are we full on data yet? Okay, we have 393 data in there right now. So we'll grab a material study. Process that in the lab. That's going to be another 156 data and a magnetometer report. Cool. The magnetometer is deploying right now. I'm not sure where it is. But we'll process that in the lab as well. This is a crazy amount of science, for the record. Okay, the lab is too full of data for the magnetometer for the moment. So that's okay. We're just going to hop in here into the service bay. And we're going to grab our data collection unit here. And we're going to collect all of that data. Okay. Now we're going to need to have Milbro EVA. And Milbro is going to let go and head on up over this direction for the moment. We need to, for the time being, reset our Science Junior. And we need to also reset our... This is so big. I can't actually reach it from here. That's exciting. Okay, we're going to have to go around, and hopefully we don't explode our... Hopefully we don't explode our Gigantor. I'm going to stay away from the Gigantor. Why is it selecting the crew hatch there? Okay. Restore the Mystery Goo containment unit. Thank you. Cool. Now we can deal with that and hop back in. Okay. We grab on, and we board, and that's good. So all of this is good to go. We have additional data that we can store in the lab, but the lab is at least processing. How are we doing on electric charge? We're fine on electric charge. Excellent. So the lab is processing this data. It'll take it some time. No doubt about that. So the next goal here is, at this time, we need to head around to about the apoapsis. That's around 64 days in the future. And that's all well and good. We have all this in-space high data that we're going to get. So we're not concerned about that at the moment. But we need to start deploying some of these satellites, and around at the apoapsis will be the time to do so. So, now is the part where we hope that I can steer these. That's going to be exciting. We're going to need to decouple this guy. Okay. And we're going to swap over. And I'm going to attempt to steer it out of here. I want to take it this direction. Activate the engine and get a tiny amount of speed. We're clipped in a little bit over there, but it looks somewhat clean. Okay, we'll kill Rot. And we should head on over to Prograde. We have successfully detached our first communications satellite. Excellent. I was actually a little worried about that one. I'm not going to lie. I was a little worried. So at the apoapsis, we're going to need to bump this up. To being circularized. Like that. So I'm going to thrust limit this guy down to like 0.5%. Okay. And now we should hop over and detach the other one as well. So both of these need to be detached. If I can grab this. I had it for a moment there. Where are you at, decoupler? Well, we can go in this way. So we decouple that guy. And we need to go this direction. Not that way. This direction. And just get a little bit of speed to hopefully clear this. Kill that rotation, please. Okay, just get a little bit of distance here. There we go. Clean-ish separation. I was definitely intending these to be gone by the time we did that, but it does the trick. So that's absolutely great. So this guy is also going to be pushing out at the apoapsis. And we're just going to be circularizing this. But he is eventually... Well, actually, we should come around over here because we're going to need to set our inclination to, instead of being 2.2, we're going to want to... Actually, let's set Ike as the target here just to get our ascending-descending node. And then we want to add a maneuver here, and we want to make this be a polar orbit, which is going to be a whole thing. So that puts us at 75, 79 degrees. We're going to have to back this off a little bit. 89.8, and that's 90.3. Let's back that off slightly. There we go. And from there, we're going to want to roughly circularize it, but we would then need to push the apoapsis out as far as we can, like... That would be the target. Okay, so that's an 18-second burn. That seems reasonably fine. But we know for a fact that the other satellite is, this one over here, is going to be the first one, right? So we'll align that to the node. We also know that this isn't in a perfect inclination. That's fine for the moment. We're going to warp on away, and we're going to get this set up. Beautiful. So we're going to get this guy into position. 3, 2, 1, and 0. Why is this going up? What? Why are we facing retrograde right now? Okay, that's kind of exciting. Apparently we're reversed on this one. Okay, that's very exciting. Good to know. Good to know. I wonder if the other one's reversed too. Well, that's fine. It's not the end of the world. So we're just going to push this guy back up at this point until we have basically a minimal orbit, right? And we can unthrust limit this up to like 3% thrust. So we're just going to take this around until we have escape velocity, and then we'll back it off very, very slightly. And we'll just know that these are reversed. We're not going to need to change it very much, so that's absolutely fine. Cool. It's not like we're short on delta V for this. That's definitely not a thing that we are right now. So when is this actually going to achieve escape velocity? It should be very soon. Yeah, that's escape right there. So we'll bump it back around to prograde. And we'll just bring that guy right on down. There we go. So then at the apoapsis, the idea is to be circularization, right? We want to circularize that. Ooh, that was way too much TV. So directly at that apoapsis. That basically is circularized. Hang on. Yeah, that basically is circular. Okay, perfect. So that looks good then. Now all we need to do is change our inclination. So we'll set Ike as the target so that we have access to the descending node. This is going to be in a while, right? That's 50 days. Yeah. So we want to change this guy, not like that. We want to change this guy to 0.0 degree inclination. which we're having a bit of a hard time getting to, but we need to do something kind of like that. And keeping it circularized. So about like this. Cool, that looks good. So this is going to be in 49 days. The other ComSat should be much, much quicker. So that's in 49 days. Let's head over to the relay. And let's see when that is. But it is about time to put a cut in here. So I think, let's see here. That's in 52 days. Okay, so it is actually the other one first. Cool. So now that we know that there's 2 days separation here, we can get these set up basically perfectly. So that's great. It is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're going to deliver our ComSats and start heading to Ike. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings. And a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, James, Shadow Wolf, MLohan80, Rogue Corvid, Kintogan, Andy Magar, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12 UK, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.